Hey guys, it's Logan and Chad here with Hydra 572. Today we are going to be testing out the Kershaw Emerson collaborations. We've got three of them here. We got the CQC 2, 5, and 6. So we're going to be testing this stuff out. We got some cardboard, some rope, some wood, and some zip ties. We're going to try to sort of escalate from the easiest stuff to the hardest stuff. We'll be using all three knives and passing them around. And if we have any feedback about how they're cutting or anything like that, we're just going to shout it out. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. The CQC 5, I've put a pretty good mirror edge on. The other two are stock edges, so we'll see how they compare. Let's go ahead and shred some cardboard.
Gliding through when the cardboard doesn't hold.
Yeah, the edge on this thing is probably the best edge or second best edge I've ever put on anything. It's eating through even the double ply stuff pretty easy. Stock edges on the Kershaw Emersons aren't bad. They come in a little under shaving sharp. A little bit worse than we've typically seen on Kershaw's stock edges, more like what we've seen on zero tolerance stock edges. That's an interesting thing. A couple of things about the production of these knives have made me think that they may have been rushed toward the end. That wouldn't surprise me to hear, especially how they didn't release them all at once. And some of them that I've seen have had better quality control than others. Yeah, the 2K is actually doing much better than I thought it would. Feels okay in hand. Sort of not getting to use my whole pinky on the grip, but it's working.
Yeah, the 6K is starting to dull. Or maybe I'm just bad at this. Yeah, I think I'm just bad at this.
Let me see. Right here. Yeah, I wouldn't call that dull. That time it was dull. That wasn't me, that was the knife.
Nothing's ever Logan's dull.
So, these knives are very exciting. I think we all got pretty excited about these things, and I wanted to do some actual usage video, test them out, see how they cut. So far, I've been pretty impressed. Chad, what do you think?
I am quite impressed as well. In fact, I may be buying a
6K.
6K pretty soon.
I like the 5 and the 6. I still think that the 2K is a little bit small for my hand.
Yeah, no, that one's too small.
But I do like how there's a whole range of these knives that you can buy.
This one is just a little bit too small. Like, my pinky keeps slipping off the end of it, and I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I really like the recurve on the 2K, but it definitely is on the small side.
Certainly.
So far, I think the quality control was better on the 2K and the 6K. The 5K had a couple of little things. I wouldn't say the grind was uneven, but it wasn't symmetrical. Wow, I just got a cardboard paper cut. I did not even know that was real. Try it again. Actually, I'd say the clip on the 6K is a little bit of a hot spot as well. Might just be holdover from the hot spot on the 2K.
I didn't notice
That was a pretty effortless puncture. Chad's doing a cut test on dirt.
I have made a colander.
I fucked up your colander.
Box. You know what this blade shape reminds me of is the little thing that came with his bread knife.
It's talking about the Archeron that ships out with all of the K-Bar zombie killer stuff. And I agree. It's like a little folding Archeron.
And I am noticing this pocket clip hotspot.
Yeah, I think the edge on the 5K is holding a little bit better than the edge on the 6K. I mean, its edge geometry was much better because it was crafted by one of the master bladesmiths of our generation. Okay, we shredded a significant amount of cardboard. I'll test the 6K. It's a very toothy cut, but it is still cutting. Especially back on the back portion of the blade, the belly is getting pretty dull. Test out 5K. Apparently it's just not going to cut at all. There we go.
Master bladesmith.
It's taken some dulling too. Turns out wet magazine paper is pretty hard to cut. Yeah, no, that's not going to cut at all. Same steel on all the blades, but they do have different edge geometries. The 2K is a very low angle grind. The 5K and the 6K were pretty similar, but then I reprofiled the 5K. So we've done quite a bit of cardboard. Push this shit off to this side. Let's try some rope. Start with the 5K. It was easy enough, I suppose. The 6K, or sorry, this is the 2K. 2K I'm having to really work and saw through. It's to be expected, it's the smallest blade and the most interesting edge geometry, so I would think that it would wear the fastest. And there's like quite a bit of a saw too with the 6K, but it is going through on one pass. So I meant to do that. Alright, let's get some more cardboard cutting done. Really wear on the edges of these things. I want to know how the ergonomics hold up, how our hands do. The post office cardboard is so much easier than the packing cardboard. The jimping is pretty soft on all of these models. But it works well, it's tacky enough. Did you get it?
I got it.
You got it. Overall, ergonomically, I think they're all pretty good. The 2K has impressed me so far. I mean, and even though it's dulling, it's still got quite a bit of power in the cut. That's one of the things that you get with a really low angle grind. Is even once you dull the edge, you sort of still have a relatively narrow metal wedge to push through things. And if the cuts aren't pretty, the ergonomics of the 6 is pretty much on par with the 5. The 2 being a little bit behind. But the clip is a little bit more of a problem on the 6 than on the 5, I would say. But the larger handle real estate is nice. The 5 feels like sort of a small knife. This really feels like a full-sized utility cutter. just in my opinion. Different hand sizes are going to change all that. Four-ply cardboard offers up quite a bit of resistance. I like it. So it's just now starting to feel like the inside edges of the knives are getting to be sharp or getting to be hot spots. I have to sit down again. Yeah, with that really tough cut, the bottom of the knife is starting to seem just a little bit sharp, especially around that clip. Alright, I'm going to start trying some zip ties. Okay, that was pretty easy. That kind of just went through. I guess zip ties aren't going to be a challenge for this thing. That's kind of popping right through them. I expected that to be much more difficult. Alright, if the wood's not going to be a challenge and the zip tie isn't going to be a challenge, I realize I picked white zip ties, which you guys probably can't see. But, do this. Chad, you can also do that. Just pick a thing. I like this one. Better knife. Like I said, in those cuts that offer more resistance, the ergonomics start to feel a little rough. Definitely not problematic. And it's actually cutting wood pretty well. Yeah, no, if you're not doing stuff like this often, it will really surprise you how much your hands will go to shit in a hurry.
My hands are vagina balls.
That's a technical term, by the way.
Look it up.
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed. The edge geometry on the 6K seems to like the wood and the rope a little bit better than it's like in the cardboard.
Oh god. We have blade play on this one. This is 5.
Yeah. The 6 is okay. It's got some side to side. No real up and down. I messed with the pivot on that one a little bit. Oh god, the 2K is really loose. But I mean, they're Phillips heads, so I suppose I can just fucking tighten them up. They're the special sort of straight edge Phillips head. It's very scientific. I never fuck anything up, I just explain. I also have the Swiss tool in my pocket. I don't know why I'm using them. Style when I have a much better straight head. Straight head. Straight head. Your hands are bitch, man. Fucking fingers. There, no blade play at all in these bitches.
Yeah, no, I'm very not down with the pocket clip on the 2K.
Yeah, it's not as much of a problem on the 5. It seems to be a little bit of a slimmer profile clip.
I feel like this is half of the handle width here.
The coatings on both of the coated blades are seeming to hold up pretty dang decent.
Pretty dang decent. My granddaddy used to say.
This one is a little bit smaller than I would want for tactical use, but I think it'll do just fine. Get out of my way.
And she's in.
Yeah, the lockups on all these things are right around 50% and holding, it looks like. Yeah, I would, but I would not want to use this thing to defend myself. If I had to, I would, but that is pretty dang small.
I mean, after all, we are hairless mammals without fangs or claws.
Yeah, the choil on this one is a little bit deep for reverse grip, I think.
Such a noticeable difference.
Yeah, the thumb ramps going up to the waves are just a little bit noticeably non-ergonomic. I wish the wave went just a little bit longer, I think, but you guys know I like that really extended Filipino grip. I'd say that's pretty damn good penetration for a utility cutter. Relatively ergonomic in a stab, especially the 6 has a deep choil, so you're not going anywhere. Not the most comfortable for your pinky, but it's doable. Lock up after tightening is pretty solid. The 6, maybe just need Loctite on the pivot. Same thing, the 2's doing just fine. Chad doesn't like the 2. I like the 2. Definitely small. God, all of these things are just going straight through zip ties in a way that I didn't expect. And our magazine paper's all wet, but give you a good old thumb test, see how they do. I'd say that's still a pretty good workable utility edge. I mean, that's pretty doable. Yeah, even the 2K is kind of still going through cardboard. I think its edge geometry liked cardboard the best. It's really weird. That's got to be maybe 15 degrees, maybe 13. Real steep angle. I got to figure out something about bending that clip flat, I think. Oh, you want to shred the rest of the cardboard and call it a day? So far, I'm pretty impressed by these little things. $30 knives, I think they're holding up damn good.
Yeah, no, for 30 bucks, this is definitely going to be getting some pocket time if I buy my own. It is.
Oh, one of the other controversies about the Kershaw Emersons early on was that on some of the frame lock models, I believe, the screws for the pocket clip were not long enough that if you wanted to switch over to left-hand carry, they couldn't go from just being in the threaded frame lock side to being on the side where they have to go through some G10 to get into the liner. They weren't long enough. The only one that I tried to switch the pocket clip over on was the 5K, which is the liner lock, so the screws were already long enough because they had to go through the same width of G10 to get into the threaded liner. So I didn't have that issue. However, I did have a whole lot of trouble breaking free one of the screws, and the screw ended up stripping. It seemed pretty soft, and honestly, I was using good technique, so I don't believe it was my fault. I had to go ahead and take a Dremel cutting wheel and cut myself a straight blade screwdriver slot into the screw so that I could keep using it. So that was strange. It certainly was in there very, very deep and very hard, and the screw seemed to be pretty soft, so perhaps not the highest quality hardware in these things, and having those issues early on is sort of unsettling, especially because Kershaw took quite a bit of time to respond to them. But even the people who experienced those issues were still pretty psyched about these blades. I remember Sinric had some trouble with them. I believe those issues are just now starting to get resolved. So that did take quite a long time. If you are thinking about carrying left-handed, that is a pretty big consideration. Even though the jimping's not very rough, having that quickly sloping thumb ramp is starting to sort of eat my right thumb. Yeah, the cut on the 6K is just starting to get not quite toothy, but definitely not aggressive in the cut as much as it had been. Makes sense. This is quite a bit of cardboard for a budget steel to chew through. See, that edge is certainly starting to deteriorate. It's not bad by any means, it's still usable.
This one's certainly getting done, though.
Kershaw is just bound and damn determined to make me own frame locks. Check in on how the points are doing. 6K, the point is pretty close to how we started.
2K is doing pretty good.
And actually, all the points have held up pretty dang good. Coating is still holding up fine on the coated blades, it looks like. A little bit more wear on the 2K, I would say.
I'm going to put quite a bit of pressure into stabbing now.
Yeah, definitely the most resistance felt in the stab was on the 2K.
Which is weird to me because I feel like it had the sharpest tip. Oh, and there's the sun.
Here comes the sun.
Alright, that's none of that. None of that. Stop that. Stop it. Fuck you. On my armor.
I'm always amazed when the knife is actually hot from cutting things.
Yeah.
It makes sense why it happens, it just still surprises me.
Oh, wow.
I'm making enough energy to fucking heat up the knife blade?
My physics teacher was right.
Yeah, we have been at this for about 45 minutes now. I find myself doing this strange thing where I sort of reach around the thumb ramp and put my thumb on the side of the blade or on the corner of the blade, and it's somewhat comfortable, but after a while the wave feature starts eating you. This is 2-ply, I'm not just a bitch.
Hey, look.
The coating is actually starting to wear away inside the choil of the 5K. That's where it's taking on wear. That's funny. It's okay though, because we still have a great big stack of fucking cardboard. And the 2K is not liking it too thick. Let's try 4. That'll be fun. That's bad. Here, we'll disengage the lock, which I failed to do last time we tested a blade with batoning. Does it still count if you're batoning through cardboard? Like, is that still hard use? The lock actually survived that lock disengaged batoning. So far, all of the pivots have stayed pretty tight since last time we retightened them. I've been really impressed by how well the coating is holding up. And the 5K is still going to eat through 4 layers of cardboard. Though my forearm is not. So, I'd say that was a pretty good usage test for some mostly EDC utility cutter focused blades. The 6K is the only one that I could really think of using for somewhat more emergency defensive tactical type use. Which isn't to say I wouldn't use these two, just doesn't really come to mind that way. I think of these mostly as utility cutters. I think that's the way they were designed so that they don't compete too much with Emerson's lineup, as evidenced by the largest one still being a good utility cutter size, but not quite meeting that 4-inch kind of bottom rung for me as a defensive blade. Go ahead and give a paper cut test on each of these. I think we're going to see really toothy cuts out of each of them on the magazine paper. This is dry magazine paper, by the way, not the same stuff that got rained on. So yeah, that's the pretty toothy cut that we expected to see. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with these blades. Definitely did notice that reaching around the wave gave a little bit of a hot spot on the thumb, and we had the problems with the clip on the 2K. The 2K also took on the most damage to the coating. Looks like maybe with rubbing oil in I'll be able to bring it back, but there's certainly some wear there, and the clip certainly needs to be adjusted or flattened out in some respect. This one is just a little bit too small even for me. Chad didn't like it at all. I think it would be passable as a utility cutter if this was your size requirement. If it had to be this small, I think it would work. And I believe it's the only one that's recurved, so I do like that blade profile. I wish that we could have it in the size more around the 6. All of the locks seem to hold up fine, even with a little bit of minimal overuse and abuse. I had to tighten the pivots a little bit on each of them, and now they have a completely understandable amount of blade play. I think so far I like the ergonomics of the liner locks overall because the metal edges on those seem to be just a little bit on the rough side, and definitely an ergonomic hiccup reaching around the wave feature to sort of get into that Filipino grip, but you only notice that in the really hard cuts, so I'm not too worried about it. Chad, what do you got for us?
Well, I did not like the 2 at all. That one was the 5. The 5, I'm kind of indifferent to it, you know, like most knives, but the 6 I really liked. I'm going to buy one of these soon.
Chad doesn't like small things. They remind him of inadequacy. Anyways, I thought this was a pretty cool test. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope it gave you a little bit of a better idea of how these knives would hold up under harder use and scrutiny. And so far, I think they did pretty well. I tightened up each of their pivots once or twice during the testing, but now they seem to be doing just fine. Doesn't seem like any additional blade play has crept in anywhere. They certainly have an acceptable level of it for me, and you guys know I'm a stickler for that. On more budget-oriented blades, I'm a little bit more forgiving, and these things do not have all that much blade play to begin with. I'm pretty impressed by how well these things held up. I was thinking of just doing one big group review on these things after using them. I think they each warrant their own review. I'll probably still do that big group review just so you guys know that I think the whole line is pretty cool. And now I'll get down into the more nitty-gritty of each one of these knives. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. Hope you guys have enjoyed our usage video. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more of the same.